So what did you like most about the game?
It was cool that there were a lot of dog breeds to choose out of that were really cute and that they wore accessories.
Or you could like dress them up in accessories, right?
Yeah.
Like later on in the game, every time you did a mission for someone, they would award you with these kind of bones, and then you could use them to buy accessories and dress up your dogs. So that would probably have appeal for like younger kids, right?
Mhm.
So pretty much the story is that your sibling is sick, and so you need to travel to the dog island so that you can fetch the doctor, who is said to be the only one that can cure your sibling. But when you get there, the doctor says that he needs some herbs that you need to fetch him so that he can make the medicine that your sister needs. Also, while you're on the dog island, you meet this Ankh called Patasi, and Ankhs are kind of like these tiny black 2D things, and she plants this tree that's said to grow with appreciation, and once the tree is full grown, she'll be able to travel back to her land. The whole thing with Patasi really had no pertinence to the original plot about finding the medicine for your sibling, so I don't really know why it was put in there, but I mean, it's not a negative or anything. I just don't really understand why they felt it was necessary. So the whole kind of gameplay aspect of the game was sniffing. And so to sniff, you hold down the A button and different scents would show up at the bottom of the screen. There would be one, which is kind of like the thing you're looking for. So if you're looking for a shell, it would say how close you were to the shell. So it's kind of like a hot or cold meter. And so if the shell was big, it would mean you were heading in the right direction. And then there would be a meter, and when the meter was full, you were right on top of it. So you would shake your Wii remote, and then you'd find the item. And then there was another one, which was a blue meter, and that was for an unknown scent, so you could discover new scents that way. As for controlling the dog, in order to move the dog, you would point your Wii remote at the screen and hold down B, and wherever your Wii remote was pointed, the dog would run to. What did you think of these controls?
Yeah, it was really easy to control your dog. It was easier than using a nunchuck in other games.
There were enemies in the game, and to kind of defeat the enemies, you wouldn't really kill the enemies, you just kind of have them pass out. You'd press the minus button when they were sleeping or weren't paying attention to you, and this would knock them out. And so the longer you held the minus button for, the longer they'd be knocked out for. And if you held the minus button down for like a really long time, then you'd kind of emit this high-pitched bark that would knock them out for like a really, really long time. So what did you think of the graphics?
I think it was really good, and I liked the cutscenes, but they don't have voiceovers, so it took a pretty long time for me to read.
Overall, I'd say that the Dog Island was a really fun game for people like 13 and under, I'd say. Not for older people because it would be far too easy. But my one complaint was that once you beat the game, it'll send you back to your last save, which was during the final dungeon. But the thing is, you can't get out of the final dungeon, so if you want to go and walk around the environment after you've beaten the game, like you could do in Zelda Twilight Princess, you can't do that in the Dog Island. You'll pretty much only be able to be in the final dungeon. So one option for this is that you can save your last save before you go in the dungeon, but that means that every time you die, you'll have to go right back to where you were outside of the dungeon and go into the dungeon and fight all the enemies to get to the final boss. So, I mean, I wish I'd done that, even though it would have taken me a while to complete it, but that was a pretty big negative for me. Overall, though, I definitely say this game is a buy for younger kids. It's, like I said, not very difficult, but picking your dog out of so many options and being able to dress them up and the kind of sandbox-like gameplay, like you take kind of missions from people and go off and then they pay you off. And there is a story, but it's kind of like an introduction to Sandbox because there's a pretty big world to explore. So I definitely recommend this. What do you think?